So I'm in DC. We've had the president's speech. It's great to have you all with us together. And I am with Lord Maurice Glasman. Wow, it's fantastic to see you here. You had a proper invite, one of the few from the Team Trump. Tell us how that came about and why.
Well, I must retain a certain element of mystery. You know, I'm not going to reveal everything, but essentially, J.D. Vance, when he wrote Hillbilly Elegy, sent it to me.
Yeah.
I've no idea who he was, but like you, I'm a good well-brought-up boy from North London, so I wrote him a thank you email, saying it was a very interesting book, and we exchanged a few emails. At that time, he was talking about rebuilding the New Deal coalition and the Democrats. You know, I said, good luck with that. I'm having a hard enough time with a party called Labour to get the Labour interest, working class interest. We exchanged 2 or 3 emails, fell down the memory hole, so imagine my surprise when he became Vice President of the United States in the Republican Party. And basically it came from there, good relationship with Steve Bannon, with Patrick Deneen. You know, I'm a intellectual type, so I'm just very, very committed to sort of working class populism. And it seemed to me that they were doing that, and in a way that no progressive party could do.
So just like, let's look at that a bit. I mean, you're very well known for your writing on Blue Labour and saying that the Labour Party in its current incarnation is sort of separated from Labour. It doesn't have a relationship in many ways.
So there's a bad relationship. It's actually worse than no relationship. I think no relationship is okay. I think that over the years we're actively anti-working class and despise them and things like that. So it's a tragedy of our country. The Labour Party that was created to represent Labour doesn't.
And so what do you think this will mean? What's happened here and the really broad mix, people talk about diversity all the time, but the amount of different people that have all come out and supported the Trump and their cabinet, what he's put together, many of which who were Democrats until fairly recently.
Absolutely. All of them, that's all their story. They say, hey, my father was a trade union man, my grandfather was Steve Bannon. His grandfather was one of the founders of the Communication Workers Union, you know, worked in telephones and those things. So you're asking, what does it mean? An absolute foundation of... So I'm a Bevanite. I really love Ernest Bevin.
Yeah.
And when he was Foreign Secretary in 1945, he laid it out. He said that any British government now has to have an alignment with the United States. And at the same time, we have to have a powerful enough armed forces, but that's not a colonial relationship. He absolutely understood the necessary of alignment and distance. And that was why, remember he stood up, or you won't remember, you're too young, but I do. He stood up at Labour conference in 1948, and can you imagine this happening now? And he said, I want a bomb, I want a bloody big bomb, and I want the Union Jack on it. The conference?
Yeah.
Applauded then. That was the foreign policy. We founded NATO precisely together to bind the United States into a broader military alliance with us. Founded the United Nations, the Security Council, and all of that. So Labour's got just one choice. It either aligns with MAGA or it resists MAGA. And my argument is if it resists MAGA, we're basically an inferior version of Sweden.
So we've seen quite a lot of very high-profile public exchanges between, for instance, Elon Musk and Keir Starmer and others. But this, I want to come to that in a second because it's your point about whether it either aligns with MAGA or it does not. But this estrangement from the public, which I don't think it's just Labour. I think that happened with the Conservatives as well.
Totally.
But can that be resolved? From your point of view?
Yeah. I mean, the whole tradition of Labour up until, Kinnock really intensified it, but Blair really was the one who went on steroids towards global capitalism, the absolute uncritical embrace of globalization, finance capital, and those things. The overwhelming history of the Labour movement is of a very conservative party with a very radical economic instinct. So here, I mean, I'm getting rebuked by senior Republicans because we're not pro-trade union enough. We're not pro-worker enough. I mean, so Labour has all the inheritance to align with this, to understand this state sovereignty, control over the economy. I mean, Steve Bannon said to me yesterday that he doesn't even want any foreign investment in America. I mean, he wants it to be American capital, American labour, in a partnership to renew industry. I mean, that's the thing. They are really hell-bent on increasing manufacture, the confrontation with China, and these things. So, Alan, where are we here?
So there was big discussion in Britain about the Red Wall, about Brexit, about discussions about the Labour losing it. We also see a new party with Reform, and they're appealing to working class people and like old Tories, old Labour, old Never voters. Why is it that? Is it like a football team? Is it a sentimental relationship to Labour? Why wouldn't it be something new?
So people who never met me before, I say hi. It may or may not work out between us, but 3 things you've got to know about me: I'm a Jew. I don't question it. I'm Spurs. When we're shit, I don't stop supporting Spurs. It's partly, and Labour is part of my inheritance. My family were not members or anything like that, but we've always just understood ourselves as Labour people, and I love the working class. I'm faithful to that. And so, so what I'm saying is Labour's got an actual history of really improving the lives of working people as their first priority. Shouldn't be so hard to rediscover that. We're not a Liberal Party. Precisely, we didn't join the Liberals.
They've had a bit of, let's talk, I mean, there's been a bit of a crisis in the Labour Party in the sense that there was, on the one hand, there was the momentum challenge. And then you've had a situation where Keir Starmer has tried to assert and has asserted authority, but this sense of also, if you look at the last few months, a range of things, talking about democracy and accountability, that many things that were promised not to happen have happened. And in a democracy, surely you make the point and you try and win over on the basis of those arguments. If we look at everything from the pensioners to the farmers and IHT and businesses and students and a range of issues, what's going on?
But all the things you said, you can't say, I don't give a toss about students. There, and you mentioned momentum. To me, that was just revolting student politics bullshit, and Corbyn was bullshit, and that was revealed over Brexit. So I'm not going down that road. The thing is the emptiness of the position. So they knew they had to purge the nutters out, but they never developed any sense of analysis of, look, we're here in Washington, D.C., and Alan, you must have witnessed the working class energy around MAGA. Oh, there's something to behold.
Incredible.
I went with Steve Bannon to the rally to the people who didn't get in. I mean, could you imagine in England, 30,000, 40,000 people driving spontaneously from Kentucky and Indiana, truckers, engineers, car mechanics, straightforward people who just wanted to come and bear witness to a change they were longing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that we can't even comprehend in our politics, but we should. This is populism.
Yeah.
And populism is fantastic. It's not a bad thing. I've learned over the years with Blue Labour, they call me a populist. And I said, what do you mean I oppose capitalism? Does it? Yeah. I oppose globalization. They are smashing up the rules of a rules-based international order. They're intent on breaking the law. They're going to put America first, sovereignty, industry, working class. Do you see the speech? I was in there. He started to checklist workers, oil workers, car workers, make Detroit great again. I mean, he is unashamedly working class driven, is the point.
So the critics would say that that's nice rhetoric, but it's all about, he's a businessman, it's about businessmen. We have a similar discussion in Britain, right, about borders, about paying British workers better money versus cheap foreign labour. That's often presented as a racist argument, right? Just unpick it a little bit here and then.
So just the first principles of democracy, you put the people who live in your country first. What is this? This disgusting rhetoric about being a racist because you have a preference for British workers, whoever they are. The British working class is no longer overwhelmingly white. There's a really strong West Indian, African, Bangladeshi, Pakistani working class. And in fact, there's great alignment within it. So this racist stuff is really old order. This is just a way of delegitimating questions about capitalism.
And how much of an impact do you think it's going to have on Britain?
It's already, you see it running through. I mean, I don't know, right now, as we speak, reform are rolling through our towns, small towns, big towns. It's reaching the cities. I mean, it's not just a disaffection of the faraway places, and that's, the Conservatives don't matter anymore. They won in 2019. They said they'd take back control, and we got 1 million immigrants a year. Well, I mean, nobody's going to trust them. They've got no political economy. Regurgitated Thatcherism. So poor Keir, have some mercy and compassion, has found himself as Prime Minister. And he really simply is deeply confused about the direction of travel. You know, he's trying to cling on to a new Labour, but new Labour is finished. Look, you know, Mandelson is an example. You know, here I've been meeting a lot of senators, and they just showed me a photo of Mandelson blowing out the birthday candles with Jeffrey Epstein. And they say, what's this? I don't know, you know, what can you say to that? I mean, but he's, you know, it's very early days. We're 6 months into a 5-year government. Who's to say that he can't embrace the reality of this? The United States has gone pro-worker. The United States has gone pro-sovereignty. The United States has moved to industry rather than finance. All those transhuman tech oligarchs that were present yesterday, they understand the rules now. They've got to let go of the censorship. They've got to invest in America. They're signing up. Because they're business people, they're not, in fact, ideologically committed to woke and corporate bullshit. They just want to make money, and they're saying, okay, but invest in America.
So we have got institutions that are riddled with things like DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, with ESG, with a range of these measures.
Oh yeah, ESG.
And so you have this announcement. It was really bold. It was really clear. Free speech. Drill, baby, drill.
They've left the WHO.
Paris
Agreement gone. Yeah.
But in Britain, Labour Party found it hard to say what a woman was. And we have now just seen on the same day, and I think it was very instructive, that much was kept from the public. Certainly, you know, like the idea you're not allowed to talk about some things or ask questions or speculate. What does that mean in terms of you'd have to have quite a reversal and quite a change to embrace this spirit?
It's massive for the political class, but it's not massive for the working class who are already there.
Yeah.
So it's just because, sorry guys,
I
think I went to university. I just had to say I went to university, and I made people go to university. I got stupid and I forgot what was real. And I'm with you now. You know.
So what do you think this means, though? For like, do you? I mean, people are speculating: could the government even last the term? And is it going to come? Well, what's happening? Obviously, we've got May elections for councillors. What's your take on it?
Well, in brutal terms, you know, it's very Soviet. We got 34% of the vote. We won 71% of the seats. It's like middle Brezhnev years. It's too.
I kind of remember that with spitting him.
No, this is before your time. In the Brezhnev years, it seemed like communism would last forever in Eastern Europe, but in fact, the sands were shifting. Now we understand that with the disaffection. We've got 4 years in parliamentary terms to effect a really genuine shift. All right, so okay, got in, didn't know what we were doing, bumbling around, still clinging on to the last vestiges of progressivism, not really accepting Brexit. Now, Brexit, we are a sovereign nation. We are free to make our alliances. We're very strong for Ukraine. This is a big difference with Trump. We can really build up our military, our armed forces. That's the key. Is the army is the best vocational trainer. Go to the small towns, recruit engineers, all these things. Be a patriotic party that will lead we're a leading nation. And so we can lead, so that we could be in alliance with the United States, because the EU, you think you're worried about it, Germany, France, Austria, they're disintegrating because they can't do anything. So everything is culture wars and bullshit. They can't do anything economic because of Maastricht and Lisbon, but we can. So industrial policy, industrial strategy, rebuild factories. This is the way.
It's sounding, when I'm listening to you, apart from your legacy of the 3 things you should know about, and that you would be someone who likes a lot what Reform is doing.
Yeah, except that Nigel Farage, who I know very well and like very much, is a Celine Baltetrite. He just sits in his waistcoat, puffing on his cigar, and saying, bloody trade unions got too much power, we need to become Singapore. No. There's got to be a serious political economy that honours workers. That's the key difference.
They might contest that in the sense that there's discussions about increasing wages. That was part of their manifesto.
No, I don't doubt that they're moving that way. I get it. I completely get it. What I'm saying is Labour can authentically be that. I don't know, you're maybe just about old enough to remember when Labour was pro-trade union before Blair, just about.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, we could have a big conversation, maybe not now, but about Labour and the historical legacy and what that meant, and the big questions in Britain over the 100 years, and Keir Hardie and the international and what that meant. And, people have very different views about all of that as well. I think the thing is that what's so fascinating is how excited and interested and ambitious you are, like they are here, and why that's missing somewhat in Britain with people who've been around in politics for so long, a lot of them. Well, how comes you've retained it and others haven't?
Well, basically because I wasn't involved in politics for the vast majority. I was a community organiser, community organiser. Well, obviously I was an academic, and that was so controlled that I just escaped. Living wage was the thing I did. Building relationships with faith communities, campaigning on just living wage, interest rates. Do you remember in 2008 with the crash? Sure. The banks were borrowing 0.5%, poor people were borrowing 5,000%. I just said, that's disgusting. That's just disgusting. So I never had that cautiousness, but really, I just love the working class. When I talk to working class people, they're ambitious. They want England mega, make England great again. It's going to be big,
So are you going to go back? What are you going to do when you go back to Britain? Are you going to go and say to Keir, let's sit down, have a listen to this?
No, I don't know. Keir, I was very pro-Brexit. I really campaigned very publicly for Brexit. So you can imagine that relations with Keir, I would have strained from that time because he was the leader of the Remain in that. But I'm gracious. We won, and he accepted Brexit and said we're not going back in his lifetime, which is ambiguous because he may not live long. But, we've got to accept that. Yeah, I'll sit down with Labour. Look, there's a tradition I'm part of that needs to be resurrected, make Labour great again. Look, resurrect it. Resurrect the glory of the working class, a working class-led movement. We just got captured by PPE students from Oxford, and they don't know anything.
It does strike me, though, that, and there have been some others that have gone out as independents on issues that like what's happened with the Tories and maybe with Reform, that might be what should happen with Labour. In fact, that they do have a kind of separation or ideological kind of split or some group, because
that's so boring. It's just got to have a clear vision of what Labour stands for, the patriotic pursuit of the national interest in which the working class are a fundamental part. That's always been the story. So why create a new party when that is the truth of its history?
So I know you're going to be talking to Steve Bannon again as well, but if you were to relay back to Britain, our audience and everyone, a couple of key things that you've seen from here that you'd like to have happen in Britain, what would be the 3 takeaways that you go, these are really essential?
Well, the first is that politics matters, leadership matters, that you can see that through courage and persistence, you can genuinely change things. The disaffection in Britain is it doesn't matter who you vote for, they're all the fucking same. That's just how it goes. But when you come here, you realise 200 executive orders on his first day, men and women are there's only two genders out of the Paris Accords. WHO, a totally corrupt and disgusting organisation. So the first thing I take away is the politics matters. The second thing I take away is that a working class populist politics is the way of the future. Now, we were always accused of being nostalgic in Blue Labour. Oh, no. It's all about the internet now. It's all about texting and networks. No. Industry, patriotism, democracy. The thing I take away is that this is a tremendous victory for democracy.
Maurice Glasman, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Really good to talk
Come on,
to you.
you Spurs.